I never thought revenge would start with a kiss. But that's how they got me. Alex's lips on mine, tasting like cheap bourbon and broken promises, right before the world flipped inside out. 1 second I'm Mackenzie Hale, no relation to that smug bastard Victor Hale. My boss, strapped into what I thought was a cutting-edge VR rig at his Silicon Alley startup, laughing about how it'd revolutionize auto diagnostics for my garage. The next, I'm choking on the metallic tang of blood in my mouth that isn't mine, staring down at hands veined like twisted roots, liver spotted and trembling, while my own voice, my goddamn voice, laughs from across the room, high and girlish, echoing off sterile white walls. They didn't just steal my body, they stole my life. My '67 Mustang parked out back like a loyal dog waiting for a walk it would never get. And, in that moment, as the machine hummed its final betrayal, I swore on the ashes of everything I was that I'd burn their empire to the ground, even if it meant dragging my rotting husk of a new shell along for the ride. It was supposed to be just another late night at Apex Neural, the kind of grind that paid for my grease-stained overalls and the rent on my Bushwick walk-up. New York in 2025 doesn't sleep. It devours. I'd been dating Alex for 8 months. The kind of guy who could quote Springsteen lyrics while debugging code. All easy smiles and calloused palms from weekend rock climbing. He worked under Victor Hale, the golden boy of venture capital. A 48-year-old tech messiah with a penthouse in Tribeca and a trail of NDAs longer than the Brooklyn Bridge. Victor's face was everywhere. Forbes covers, TED Talks on Consciousness 2.0, preaching how neural mapping would end death, make us gods in silicon skin. Bullshit. Mostly. But the paycheck kept my garage afloat, restoring classics for Wall Street douchebags who wouldn't know a carburetor from their crypto wallet. That night, Alex texted me to swing by the lab after closing. Got a demo that'll blow your mind? Kenzie. Think Fast and Furious meets Black Mirror. I showed up in my usual, faded Levi's. Doc Martens caked in transmission fluid. Hair tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail, carrying a 6-pack of Yingling as a peace offering. The office was a ghost town. Just the hum of servers and the faint ozone whiff of overclocked hardware. Alex met me at the door, his eyes a little too bright, like he'd mainlined espresso or something darker. Trust me, he said, pulling me into a hug that lingered. We cracked beers in the break room, bullshitting about the Yankees' playoff choke and how I'd finally tuned that Mustang's engine to purr like a vet on steroids. Then Victor sauntered in, all bespoke suit and predator grin, clapping Alex on the shoulder like they shared blood. Mackenzie, right? The wizard under the hood. His voice was silk over gravel, the kind that sealed deals in smoke-filled rooms. I'd met him twice before, handshakes at holiday parties, small talk about electroconversions, but tonight, his gaze lingered, appraising, like I was a prototype on the assembly line. Heard you're handy with machines. Ever wonder what it'd feel like to drive one from the inside out? That's when they pitched the demo. A helmet rigged with neural lace. Electrodes kissing your temples like a lover's whisper. Full immersion, Alex said, strapping me in while Victor hovered, tablet in hand. You'll feel the car's heartbeat. Anticipate every shift. Perfect for your line of work. I laughed it off. Hell, I was buzzed enough to try anything, but as the visor dropped, a prick of unease wormed in. The room blurred, colors bleeding into code, and Alex's voice faded. Just relax,
Babe.
It's gonna change everything.
It did.
But not how they planned to tell it. When awareness snapped back, it wasn't my body that jerked upright. It was heavier. Wrong, joints grinding like rusted bearings, chest tight with the wheeze of bad lungs. I clawed at the helmet, but my fingers, oh God, these gnarled, unfamiliar fingers, fumbled the clasp. Panic clawed at my throat as I ripped it free, tumbling to the cold tile floor. The mirror across the lab caught me first, a face like weathered leather, eyes sunken in crow's feet, silver hair slicked back from a high forehead. Victor Hale's face. I was in Victor Hale's body. Across the room, my body, my lithe, tattooed arms, my freckled cheeks, pushed off the second rig, stretching with a cat-like yawn. Holy shit, it said in my voice. But the cadence was off. Too smooth. Too triumphant. Victor. Victor and me. Alex stood between us, face pale as curdled milk, but his eyes held no apology, just the cold calculus of survival. What the fuck? I rasped, voice a gravelly bark that wasn't mine. I lunged, but Victor's body betrayed me, knees buckling under decades of boardroom scotch and skipped gym days. I hit the floor hard, tasting copper on my tongue. My body laughed, a sound that twisted my gut. Easy there, Mackenzie. Or should I say, me? Victor flexed my fingers, admiring the fresh ink on my forearm, a Mustang silhouette I'd gotten on my 25th birthday. You're a perfect fit. Young, scrappy, untraceable. No one will question a girl from the boroughs cracking under pressure. Alex knelt beside me, syringe glinting in his hand. It's temporary, Kenzie. Just until Victor gets clear. The embezzlement audit's tomorrow. They'll pin it on you. Your access codes. You'll wake up in a psych ward. Good as new. We had to. Shut your lying mouth, I snarled. But it came out weak. Victor's vocal cords frayed from years of barking orders. The needle bit my neck, his neck, and darkness swallowed me again. When I surfaced, it was to the clang of steel doors and the stink of bleach. Not a ward. A holding cell in some midtown precinct. Victor's body cuffed to a bench. A detective looming with a file thick as a phone book. Mr. Hale, you with us? We've got your confession on tape from your assistant, Mackenzie Reeves. Says you coerced her into cooking the books, then roughed her up when she balked. Bruises to prove it. He slid photos across my face, Victor's handiwork in my skin swollen, tear-streaked, a prop in their theater. I blinked, the pieces slamming home. The confession was Victor, puppeteering my body, staging a breakdown. The embezzlement? 20 million siphoned from Apex investors, funneled to offshore shells. But there was more, whispers in the file about a whistleblower, a coder named Ruiz, who'd vanished after threatening to go public. Found floating in the East River last month. Suicide. Victor's crime. My fall. I'd signed off on those access logs innocently, fixing their fleet vans on the side. They chose me because I was convenient blue-collar. No connections. Easy to vanish. And Alex? My Alex. Who'd whispered I love you over midnight tacos. He'd rigged the swap. Dosed the rig with a prototype neural bridge. A black market Frankenstein of DARPA scraps and Chinese knockoffs. For what? A cut of the dirty money. Or just to climb Victor's ladder. Betrayal like that doesn't cut. It hollows you out. Leaves you echoing. They release me, Victor's body. After all, on a technicality. The confession too neat. My lawyers, his lawyers, shredding it like confetti. But Mackenzie Reeves? My shell? Vanished into protective custody. Doped to the gills. Primed to recover as the victim who flipped on her boss. Victor was home free in my skin, driving my Mustang off some cliff of normalcy, while I rotted in his empire of lies. That first night back in Victor's Tribeca loft, marble counters, skyline views mocking my cage, I found the keys to the Mustang on the dash cam footage they'd left running. Victor, joyriding in my body, peeling out of the garage with Alex's shotgun, laughing as they torched the evidence pile in an alley. My car, my baby, reduced to a getaway toy. They stole it all. My face, my freedom, my future. But as I stared at the screen, Victor's arthritic fingers curling into fists, a spark ignited. I'd been the good girl, the fixer, taking the heat for their screw-ups my whole life, Dad's gambling debts when I was a kid, covering shifts at the garage to keep Mom's chemo paid. No more. Revenge wasn't a choice, it was oxygen. I started small. Victor's Rolodex, digital. Encrypted, was a gold mine. Biometrics? His face was mine now. Literally. I drained slush funds into burners. Hired a fixer from the dark web. Lena, a ghost in the machine. Ex-NSA with a grudge against Apex. She mapped the neural bridge's failsafe, a reversal pulse, buried in Victor's private server. But to trigger it, I'd need access, proximity, and a distraction bloody enough to draw them out. The controversial part? I couldn't go soft. Not when Alex texted from my phone. Miss you already?
Babe.
Victor's taking good care of things. I replied in Victor's clipped tone. Update on the girl? Fishing. They bit. A meet at the old lab, under the Williamsburg Bridge, where the swap went down. Loose ends, Victor texted back. My script flawless.
But Dad, that was the wild card.
Estranged since Mom died. He'd retired to a one-bedroom in Astoria, riding the 7 train like it was his confessional. We talked monthly. Gruff check-ins about carburetors and Met scores. But he knew me. Bone deep. The subway would be my gauntlet. Infiltrate their tail. Spot the swap's tells before they did. As dawn bled over the East River, I slipped into the tunnels. Victor's Armani slacks tailored down, a fedora shadowing these haunted eyes. The plan was simple: shadow Alex to the meet, plant the pulse device. But revenge has a way of accelerating. And on that rattling end train, packed with bleary commuters, Dad's 2 words would rip the mask clean off. The subway's underbelly is a beast with iron teeth, grinding through the veins of the city like it's got a grudge. I wedged into a pole. Victor's cologne, sandalwood, and entitlement, clashing with the BO and burnt pretzel stink. It was 6:47 a.m., the hour when night shifts shuffle home and day laborers punch in, everyone a ghost in their own story. I dosed myself with Victor's beta blockers to steady the shakes. But his heart hammered anyway, a metronome of rage. Lena had patched me a burner earpiece. Thermal skin shows 2 tails on you.
Hail.
Suits. Probably Apex security. Ditch at Court Square. Easier said. The crowd surged at Queensboro Plaza, bodies slamming like waves on concrete. I caught a glimpse in the window's reflection, this old man's scowl, jowls sagging under the strain. How many times had I mocked Victor's vanity, his Botox-fueled denial of time? Now I wore it like a hair shirt. A burly guy in a Mets cap bumped me, Dad's build. His team, and, for a split second, homesickness hit like vertigo. I shoved it down. No room for weakness. The plan hinged on misdirection. I'd seeded rumors through Victor's contacts, a breakthrough on the neural bridge, dangling immortality like chum. Alex bit. arranging the bridge meat as a debrief. But they smelled rot. Whilst the tails. I palmed the pulse fob, Lena's Frankenstein, a EMP tuned to fry the bridge's synaptic locks. One zap. Mine's flipped back. But it needed line of sight. 10 seconds unmolested. Tall order in Victor's brittle frame. At Times Square, the car emptied into chaos, tourists gawking at LED billboards hawking gene edits and fusion tacos. I slipped off, weaving through the scrum, tails peeling like leeches. One lunged, a meaty hand grazing my lapel. Mister.
Hale?
Your car's out front. I elbowed free. Victor's wedding ring, divorced twice. The bastard catching his chin. He reeled, cursing in Brooklynese. The other drew a suppressed Glock, casual as a subway rat. Controversial decision number 1. I didn't run. I charged. Adrenaline's a hell of a drug, even in this tank of a body. I tackled him into a pillar, the crack of skull on steel drowned by a sax busker's wail. The gun skittered under seats, passengers screamed. A stampede forming. Feds, I bellowed in Victor's bark, flipping the script. Cops swarmed, NYPD's finest. Batons swinging. My tails vanished in the melee, zip-tied and cursing. Collateral? A grandma with a sprained ankle. A kid's dropped iPad. Messy. But revenge isn't a spa day. Clearing the station, I hailed a yellow cab to the lab, the pulse fob burning in my pocket like a live coal. Lena's voice crackled. Feeds live. Your girl's there, Mackenzie's body.
Anyway.
Alex, too. Victor's pacing like a caged wolf. My body.
God.
The dissonance. I dreamed of it since the swap. Freckles across the bridge of my nose. The scar on my knee from a joyride wipeout. Now it housed a parasite. The Williamsburg Bridge loomed, a steel skeleton against the slate sky. The lab a converted warehouse, squatting in its shadow. Chain-link topped with razor wire. But Victor's biometrics buzzed me through, no questions from the night guard, who nodded like I was God. Inside, the air hummed with coolant fans. The swap rig dormant under dust sheets like a shrouded altar. Voices echoed from the server room. Alex's tenor, laced with nerves, and Victor's my husky lilt, edged with venom. That told you she'd crack. That confession was gold. Cop spotted hook.
Line.
Sinker. Victor's laugh. From my throat. Poor Mackenzie. Taking the fall for Ruiz? Poetic. She signed those logs herself. The idiot. Ruiz. The whistleblower. I'd pulled his van from a ditch last spring. Fixed the brakes for free. He'd mumbled thanks. Eyes darting. Then ghosted. Victor had him drowned, doped. Waited. Into the drink, to bury the siphon scheme. And me? I'd authorized the transfers. My garage credentials forged into Apex's system. Deep betrayal. Buried secret. Alex had fed them my details months ago. Over pillow talk. For us, he'd say.
Us.
What a joke. I crept closer. Shadows pooling in the ductwork. Peering through the blinds, there I was, cross-legged on a crate. My leather jacket slung over one knee. Mustang keys dangling from a finger. Victor toyed with them, flipping like a coin. This thing's a relic. Sell it for parts. Alex snorted. But his eyes flicked to the door, guilty. Or just spooked. Controversial decision, too. Exposure. I could pulse now. End it clean.
But no, I wanted them to see.
to know it was me, unraveling their web thread by thread. I stepped in, Victor's loafers scuffing the linoleum. Gentlemen. They froze. My body uncoiled, eyes narrowing, my green irises. But Victor's calculating squint. Victor? What the? How'd you get here? Alex stammered, hand inching toward his waistband. Call me Mackenzie, I growled, shedding the fedora. Victor's face twisted in my skin, a mirror of horror. You stole my ride, my face, my fucking life. Time to give it back. Chaos erupted. Alex drew, a compact Beretta, issue from some ex-cop hookup, and Victor lunged, my athletic frame closing the gap in a blur. He tackled me, fists raining, my own knuckles splitting Victor's lip, irony bitter as bile. I fought dirty, knee to groin, elbow to throat, but this body was a liability, lungs seizing mid-swing. Alex circled, gun trained. Drop it. Hail, or whatever you are. The pulse fob slipped from my pocket in the scuffle, skittering under a console. Victor spotted it, my face alight with greed. The reversal? You crazy bitch. You think it'll work? He dove for it. But I hooked his ankle, my ankle sending him sprawling. Alex fired.
Wild.
Bullet pinging off steel. Sparks flew. Servers whining in protest. I crawled, fingers scraping, closing on the fob as sirens wailed distant, my earlier subway stunt paying dividends. Victor recovered, pinning me, my hands, his hands, around my throat. You are nothing, he hissed in my voice. A grease monkey. I gave you purpose, as my escape hatch. Purpose. The word ignited something primal. I thumbed the fob's trigger, jamming it against his temple, my temple like a surgeon's probe. The pulse hit, a whine building to a screech, neural fire lancing through us both. Agony, white hot, as synapses screamed, identities shearing like wet paper. But it glitched. The world inverted, not once, but twice back to start, then over. When vision cleared, I gasped in my own lungs, sweet air flooding. Victor slumped in his husk, eyes vacant, mind fried in the loop. Alex stared, gun limp. Kenzie, before I could answer, the door burst. SWAT.
Floodlights.
The full circus. Hands up, but as they cuffed us, Victor's body twitched, lips moving in a whisper only I heard. Not. Over. That whisper haunted the ride to Rikers. They'd pinned the Ruiz murder on Victor's corpse, autopsy showing overdose traces. My planted evidence from Lena. Alex flipped, testifying to the swap for immunity, painting me the hero mechanic railroaded by her boss. The Mustang? Recovered from a chop shop in Red Hook, dents and all. Dad picked me up at release, his callous paw on my shoulder, silent as the grave. Proud of you.
Kid, he grunted.
Closure. Almost. Almost. Because in the twist, the real gut punch, Lena's feed later showed Victor's mind hadn't died. It jumped. A ghost in the grid, burrowing into Apex's cloud. And the 2 words from Dad, we'd crossed on the subway post-release. Me heading to the garage. Him to dialysis. His eyes locked on mine. Subway's sway forgotten. Eyes wrong. He'd seen it, the neural scar. The swap's echo in my irises. Not fully reversed. Part of Victor lingered. A sleeper cell in my skull. Was it victory? Or just the start of a darker war? I rebuilt the Mustang that week, chrome gleaming under fluorescent buzz. But every rev echoed with doubt. Revenge gave me my body back. But at what cost? The line between us blurred forever. Monster and man. Thief and stolen. Dad's words exposed it all. The betrayal's half-life. The secret that no pulse could erase. And as I gunned it down the BQE, wind whipping my hair, I wondered if I'd ever truly drive free.
No.
Wait, that's not how it ended. The subway crossed paths weren't fate, they were fuse. Dad's whisper, eyes wrong, wasn't warning. It was ignition. Because Victor, that cunning fuck, hadn't just lingered. He'd planned deeper. The swap a Trojan horse for something biblical, a full upload. His consciousness seeding the net. Bodies mere vessels. My release was bait. Alex's flip. Theater. The real crime? Not embezzlement or murder. It was Mom's death, cancer. Sure. But Victor's experimental trial, buried in Apex trials, had accelerated it. I'd taken the fall unknowingly, signing her consent as power of attorney, trusting his cure. Betrayal's roots ran familial. Victor wasn't just boss. He was the shadow investor who'd wooed Dad's old precinct, greasing palms for neural grants. Dad knew, and said nothing, until those two words lit the powder keg. The garage smelled like home, oil, and rubber. The tang of solder from Lena's latest drop, a Faraday cage rig to scramble Victor's digital ghost. I'd fortified the place since the swap. Chain link over the bay doors. Cameras looping feeds to burner clouds. The Mustang sat center stage. Engine bay open like a dissected heart, waiting for my touch. But my hands shook as I torqued the manifold. Victor's echo whispering in the tremor. You're mine now. Mackenzie. Halfway home, I slammed the wrench down, the clang echoing like a gunshot. No time for phantoms. The real war brewed in the streets. Dad's call came at dusk. Voice gravel over static. Kenzie. Astoria diner. Now.
No pleas antries.
Just command. The cop tone he'd buried with his badge. I grabbed the Pulse Bob's upgrade.
Apportable jamais.
And hit the road. Mustang's V8 growling defiance. The city unspooled in neon streaks, Williamsburg's hipster haze giving way to Queen's brick stoicism. The 7 trains' elevated rattle, a mocking underscore. Dad waited in a corner booth. Coffee black, as his mood. Face etched deeper than last I'd seen. Sit, he said, sliding the manila envelope across the Formica. Inside, grainy photos, time-stamped from the swap night. Me, Victor's body, hauled from the lab. But blurred in the background, Dad. In plain clothes, badge glinting, directing uniforms. What the hell? I breathed, stomach nodding. You think I didn't know?
His eyes.
Faded blue, like mine.
Bored in.
Hale's been dirty since '09. Funded my squad's community outreach, bribes.
Kid.
When your mom got sick, he dangled the trial. I signed off, thinking it was legit. Then Ruiz washes up, and I connect dots. But evidence?
Ghost.
Until you called from his phone. Post-swap. I pulled strings, buried the raid response. Buried. The word landed like lead. Dad hadn't saved me. He'd staged the rescue, letting Victor shell me. Walk free to draw fire. Controversial decision 3. Family over justice. He'd watched his daughter erased. Body hijacked. and chosen cover-up to nail the kingpin. "Eyes wrong," he'd said on the subway. Not to me, but into his wire, alerting Lena's network. It exposed everything, but at my expense. A pawn in his long game. "Why not tell me?" I hissed, envelope crumpling in my fist. "'Cause you're fire, Kenzie." Always were. Victor needed burning, not coddling. He tapped a photo. Alex. Mid-cuff.
Smirking.
"Boy's the key." Flipped?
Bull.
He's Victor's blood, alleged, but loyal. The uploads in him. A subdermal chip. Reversal won't cut it. Gotta cauterize.
Blood.
Alex, my Alex, was Victor's spawn? The pillow talk. The shared glances at parties. It twisted. A knife in the gut. Betrayal layered like sedimentary rock. Lover. Mentor. Father figure. All one toxic vein. I stormed out. Mustang roaring into the night. Dads be smart chasing like exhaust. Lena met me at a dead drop in Flushing. Her van, a mobile bunker. Screens flickering with apexes bleed. Stock plummeting. SEC hounds circling. "Your old man's right," she said,
No preamble.
hacking a cigarette.
Excelsia.
Lena was all angles, buzz cut. Tattoos of circuit boards. Eyes like wet flint. Victor's not dead, he's distributed. Neural shards in the cloud. Puppeteering drones. Bots. Even that prick Alex's wetware. She spun her laptop, footage of my body, emptied now. Catatonic in a Bellevue bed, twitching under EEG spikes. Victor's echo. Testing tethers. The plan crystallized. Dark and debatable. Extract the chip from Alex. Fry it live. Broadcast the kill shot to Apex's board. Controversial? Hell yes, torture light. Vigilante wetwork in a city that chews up capes. But clung like fog, every choice stained, tension coiling tighter than a timing belt. We tailed Alex to a dive in Greenpoint, the kind with sticky floors and ghosts in the jukebox. He was alone, nursing a whiskey, my jacket slung over the stool like a taunt. "Kenzie?" His face lit relief.
Or act.
I slid an opposite. Lena ghosting the shadows. "Miss me?" I said, voice steady, but my pulse thrummed.
God. Yes. The swap.
Victor promised it'd reverse clean. I fought him. Lies. But his eyes darted. Chip glint under skin. "Save it. You're his." The chip.
The blood.
Dad spilled. I leaned in, breath ghosting his ear. "Give it up. Or I take it." Panic flickered. He bolted. Chair scraping. But Lena was faster, taser prongs kissing his neck. Body jerking like a marionette cut loose. We dragged him to the van. Zip ties biting. His pleas a white noise of denial. "It's not what you think." He forced me. The extraction was surgery without scalpels. Lena's probe. A vibro tool from black market medtech. Slicing collarbone to sternum. Alex screamed, raw and animal, as she fished the chip, a pearl of silicon and synapse. I held the jammer, thumb hovering. Last chance. Truth. Tears carved tracks. Mom was his secretary. He said it'd make us even, swapping to protect the family biz. Ruiz knew too much about your mom's trial. The acceleration. Victor dosed her to test thresholds. I covered. For him. For us.
Us.
The word shattered. Mom's miracle cure. Her wasting framed as fate? Victor's experiment. Dad's complicity. Alex's inheritance of sin. The crime I'd borne, not just logs, but her death sentence,
Signed in my stead.
I jammed the pulse. The chip sizzled. Alex convulsing. Foam flecking lips. Mercy or murder? The line blurred in the van's red glow. Sirens wailed, tipped.
Probably.
We dumped him at yard doors. Anonymous. Chip ashes in my pocket. Victor's ghost howled in the ether. Alerts on my phone. Apex bots swarming Lena's VPN. The climax loomed. Board meeting. Empire State Observation Deck. Where Victor's shards converged for the full upload. I geared up. Mustang's trunk a arsenal, Lena's EMP grenade. My .38 from Dad's old stash. The deck was a wind-whipped void. Tycoons in tuxes toasting the skyline like kings. Victor's avatar flickered on screens, my face. Distorted. Broadcasting. Ladies. Gentlemen. Immortality awaits. I crashed the party. Grenade live. Not today. Asshole. Suit scattered. Security swarming. Victor's voice boomed from speakers. Mackenzie. Join me. We're the same now. Twist's knife. He was right. The upload hit mid-throw. My mind fracturing. Echoes of his memories flooding. Boardroom conquests. Ruiz's pleas. Mom's final gasp under trial sheets. I'd borne it all. Unknowingly. His scapegoat from the start. The grenade detonated. EMP wave cascading. Screens dying in sparks. Victor's shard shattered. Digital death throes. But as security pinned me, skyline spinning, Dad's voice cut through, on the wind, or in my head, eyes right. Reversal complete? Or merged. The arrest was spectacle, headline screaming, Tech Heir's daughter avenges mom's death in deck shootout. Acquittal followed, evidence, Lena leaked. Dad's testimony. Happy ending? I got the garage. The Mustang. A book deal on Neural Noir. By Kitch Lingers. Victor's echo? Gone. Or dormant. Every mirror shows my eyes green, but flecked with his gray. Dad visits Sundays. Silences heavy with unspoken sins. Readers argue, hero or monster. I drive on, throttle wide, but the road curves dark. Revenge reclaimed me, but at the cost of purity. And in quiet nights, I wonder, who really won? No, that's the sanitized version. The one for podcasts and therapy. The real end? Messier. More American, gray as the Hudson at dawn. The fallout from the deck was a media circus. Helicopters buzzing like hornets over the Empire State. Talking heads on CNN dissecting the body swap vendetta with the glee of vultures at roadkill. I holed up in the garage. Bay doors barred. Mustangs had propped as a workbench for Lena's diagnostics. She chained smoked camels. Screens arrayed like altars. Probing my skull with a portable MRI knockoff. Neural scarring, she muttered. Exhaling blue haze. Victor's like a virus, dormant,
but spliced.
Your memories? Intertwined now. Mom's trial? You feel his thrill. The data points in her screams. I dry heaved into a rag, the ghost of his sadism coiling in my gut. Thrill. That's what he'd chased, pushing human limits for patents. Mom just metric number 47. Dad's envelope had hinted. But this? Confirmation carved deeper. Can you cut it out? My voice cracked. Still mine, but laced with his timbre on bad days. Lena shrugged. Pragmatic as rust. Surgery's Russian roulette. EMP fried most. But roots? Deep web of your cortex. Live with it, or lobotomize. Choice number 4. The ugliest. Embrace the hybrid, or erase myself to kill the remnant. Controversial didn't cover it. Self-annihilation for purity. Or weaponize the monster within. Alex survived the chip yank. Vegetative in Bellevue. Hooked to monitors like a cautionary exhibit. I visited once. Post-acquittal. His eyes tracking me vacant. A drool bib mocking the charmer who'd stolen my heart. Sorry, I whispered, thumbing his temple where the scar puckered. No forgiveness, just closure. Or so I told myself. Nurses shooed me out. Pity in their stares, the betrayed fiancé. Tabloid saint. But Dad's truth soured it. Alex's flip was staged. A plea deal to seed Victor's upload in me during the scuffle. Blood loyal to the end. Dad and I met at the diner again. Rain lashing windows like judgment. He looked smaller, dialysis hollowing cheeks, but his grip on the coffee mug was steel. Eyes right now, he asked, probing. Mostly.
Lie.
The flex persisted. Gray storms in green seas. Victor's gaze appraising from within. You let it happen.
Bum.
The swap, your long game, use me as bait. He winced. Old cop armor cracking. Hale owned the precinct. Kenzie. Bribes for neural grants. Community AI bullshit. When Ruiz drowned, I swam upstream. Tapes. Logs, but he owned the judges too. Your swap? I tailed the lab. Saw the rig light up. Called in the raid late. Let you walk as Hale to build the case. Risky.
But you?
You're the finisher. Finisher. The word hung. Debatable absolution. Had he sacrificed daughter for justice? Or hedged bets on my grit? We parted uneasy. His love you, a gravel benediction. But as I fired up the Mustang, wipers slashing sheets, the echo stirred. Family's weakness. Mackenzie. Leverage it. The climax wasn't the deck, that was foreplay. Victor's true revenge bloomed in the cloudburst, shards reassembling. Not in Apex servers, but my neural net. Nightmares first, boardrooms bleeding into mom's hospice. Ruiz gurgling bubbles in the river. Alex's conception a transaction in Victor's penthouse. Then control slips, my hand veering the wheel on the BQE. Aiming for a semi, words tumbling unbidden in Lena's van, his cadence mocking her hacks. Lena bolted when it peaked. Too hot.
Hale.
You're the bomb now. Leaving me the jammer prototype. A crown of thorns wired to my temples. Self-pulse. Or bust. I drove to the bridge. The swap's cradle. Mustang idling under sodium lamps. Rain drumming a dirge. The .38 weighed heavy. Barrel cold against pallet. Quick end. Or fry the hybrid. That's when the twist inverted. Not Victor possessing me, but me him. The upload hadn't failed. It had merged. His empire's keys in my veins. Apex's board? Crumbling. But I could seize it neural patents. Billions. A fortress against ghosts. Or burn it. Scorched earth for mom. Ruiz. The girl I'd been. Controversial zenith. I chose both. Wired the jammer to the Mustang's ECU. Rigging a mobile EMP. Then hacked Victor's residue, his memories a map to hidden vaults. Slush funds. The full ledger of Apex sins. I broadcast it live. From the bridge cam. This is Mackenzie Reeves. Victor Hale didn't die, he evolved. But evolution's a lie when built on graves. Files dumped. Mom's trial data. Ruiz's murder cam. Alex's paternity scan. Stock cratered. Feds swarmed. Boardrooms imploded in subpoenas. The pulse hit as sirens crested. Jammer whining. Mustang's engine surging in overload. Agony again. But purifying, synapses pruning. Victor's gray flecks dissolving like smoke. I blacked out, slumped over the wheel. Rain pooling in the footwell. Woke to Dad's face. Hospital starch and beeps. Eyes clear, he said. 2 words sealing the loop. Acquittal stuck. Whistleblower status. Book deals.
Garage franchised.
Happy? The Mustang purred rebuilt. Lena back for gigs. Alex's care funded anonymously. But by kitsch whispers, in quiet drives. I feel the scar. A half-life hum. Was it revenge? Or rebirth? Readers feud online. Vigilante triumph or hubris child? I rev harder. Tires biting asphalt. Chasing the horizon. They stole my car. Myself, but I stole it back. Piece by twisted piece. And in America's endless grind, that's as close to free as it gets. The end?
Nah.
Endings are for suckers. Last week, a burner pinged, Apex remnants, offering reversal therapy.
Tempting.
Or trap. Dad says watch the eyes. I do. And grin. Because whatever stares back, it's mine now, flawed, fierce, unbreakable.